So which project was this for?
The folklore project.
Native, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the family is locked. The family is looked by a screen.
Did I put locked?
You wrote the family locked by a stream. I think that.
Oh my God.
I don't know what you intended to write or looked.
Oh yeah, I did put looked.
Yeah, but I think that you have the mountains drawn as a very flat plane back there, and then you have these stick figures kind of running around with red feet. But then I imagine that the squiggly line is supposed to be the river.
Yeah, the river.
But you should be using perspective and the grid that we always use when we're talking about drawing in perspective. So because of that, it's really hard for this to read. Okay, so he's dreaming. All right, hunting for beaver. The beaver is hunting for beaver too. That's weird. Okay, traveling from like stream. All right, so I think that what you have here is just kind of like a really quick outline of the words going from written words to just some visual images. You're trying, but I would recommend trying to use at least 1 point perspective and getting the grid in there, and on each and every story panel having a background, a midground, and a foreground element.
Can you like quickly draw that so I could have a reference again?
So on any particular frame, like let's just pick the first two panels here because they look like they're basically the same. It's that remember that what I told you when we first started our class is that you should always divide up your screen into cinematic thirds so that you have, where those lines cross, you have focal points. And then remember that what I was saying was that a normal, nominal, neutral camera sitting on a tripod is somewhere about 3 to 4 feet off the ground. And so what that means is that your horizon is about right here. And you can, if you really want, have your horizon pushed all the way to the bottom. But generally with a 3 foot to 4 foot camera with a neutral lens on it, you're going to get a horizon that's somewhere around, it doesn't have to be right on the horizontal focal point, but it should be close to it. Just that, because that reads that that's your camera. From then in the very center of the screen, then you start drawing your perspective grid. And you draw the lines that are coming towards you, and then you draw the parallel lines that create the grid on the ground plane. And then remember that there's always a grid in the sky. And so when you do this, you just want to keep these lines fairly equally spaced. And then when you do the horizontal lines, that they are closer together towards the horizon. And that each one of these should actually look like a square in perspective. All right, so having said that, what you're trying to actually do here is show that there's some mountains, and there's no reason why the mountains have to be off the screen. So get the mountains back there, some jaggedy peaks, and think about the composition. They don't all have to be just a sawtooth. If this is your horizon, There could be a series of mountains that are closer to the camera. So put those in there.
Yeah.
And then there might be some foliage, there's some trees. And then if your guy's walking, then get your guy walking. And so think about your focal points and draw him in here, draw your line of action, get your guy walking so he's not walking on the edge of the screen. And I don't know what this is. He's keeping the baby safe.
Oh.
And that, so now you got the background and the foreground, but now you need some midground elements. So maybe there's a hut or something that the family's living in. And so you just build out your composition like that. So follow those rules. I mean,
is the cradle like a midground element?
is the what?
The cradle where the baby sleeps?
Well, no, if this is supposed to be a character and this is supposed to be a cradle, then they would be both in the foreground.
Okay.
And remember that what you're actually doing is emanating this from your map. And so if your map has mountains in the background, you could just draw these little jagged peaks, or you write M for mountains, or the mountains would actually look like cones. And then you would have trees, so you could draw the trees as like these things here. And then this would be the hut in the midground, and then your character would be standing here. And so this is your camera. This is background, midground, and foreground elements. This is what the camera sees.
Okay.
So, keep going at this, but these are still really rudimentary. That's pretty much all I can say, is that they're very rudimentary. That you're using graphic shapes where you should be sketching. Okay. All right, I'll make sure that I'll make a note. I'll make sure that gets, you get points for that. All right, okay.
For that dot bubble, I used the shift key, because if I do it freelance style, then it look like chicken scratch.
I don't know exactly what you mean. I don't know exactly what you mean, Philip.
Oh, like you said in the email, it's okay for me to use the shortcut key, so I hold down the shift key, and that's why I got the.
Well, I know, but that's just like I said, that's a very rudimentary way to get first lines on the paper, but you need to up it. You need to up your game here for sketching and getting the characters performing. A lot of story is acting, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're looking at Carmen. On a planet like Las Vegas. Oh no, so the whole planet is Las Vegas, okay. Okay, so that looks good. These guys are okay. They're looking a little stiff. So Carmen, even if you're designing, you should be thinking of your line of action. Get your characters into an awesome pose, even if it's just your character study. All right, the first pass at boards, okay.
Oh, wait, I was confused about this assignment. I thought we were like grouping together all of our past work.
I'm sorry, you thought we were doing what?
Yeah, last time you said we were going to like take all of our like boards and maps and put them together.
Yes, that lives in This is the wrong class. No, this is the right class. Is this the right class? Yeah, that lives in these folders here. That
Okay.
lives in the, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong class. That lives in these two folders here. In the character
So it's just for
design.
characters and scripts.
Yeah, just for characters and scripts.
Okay.
And you can do that anytime you want. Is that what this is?
Yeah, it says the assignment name was like everything, so I thought this is where we were uploading that. But yeah, this is all. old
No, I
stuff.
think that for me, it was just making sure that you are all looking at characters and story, so you can see the evolution, so that you
Mhm.
can see how you're progressing yourself, and that
Mhm.
and that reminds you that you're not just using one set of characters for the entire semester. And a couple of my students at the academy had tried to do that, and it gets really strange when they start putting together their storyboard portfolio and they've only got 3 characters. I'm like, you should be good at this, everybody. So I always recommend 3 or 4 sets of characters per semester, and then that way you get good at it, and telling the stories as well. So
Yeah, so this is all old stuff.
This is
other
all
than
old stuff.
The first, the first document.
all right, and so, okay, the dragon, I remember that one. And so what do you have for your final? Do you have that worked out yet?
My final?
Your final? You have one more story due that's due in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was the first one. Is the script and characters.
That was this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
you have
I like where you're going with this.
Do you think it's too long? Should I like
Maybe.
focus on one specific moment?
Yeah, maybe. But like I said last week, remember, and 2 weeks ago too, remember that if you get into this and you start doing your thumbnails, you should be able to do all of your thumbnails for 100 story panels in literally just 20 minutes. If you're doing the thumbnails correctly. If you're doing thumbnails, just draw the pose, line of action, go. Line of action, just do it as quickly as you can. Where is the camera? You follow your map, you follow your script. Where's the camera? This is basically what that shot looks at. And gestures and thumbnails are done very quickly. Practically no faces. Sometimes you can get a little scream in there or eyes popping out really big if you want. And then look at it. So you went through your whole script and you say, gee, Billy, I've got like 65 story panels. I can't do 65 story panels between now and December 15th. Then just do half of it and do the other part later.
Okay.
Yeah, just do half of it and do the other part later. So this looks good. Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it. All right, and then we have Vivian. Okay, so this looks fine. And your original sketch looks fine. I think that you can do the first part of this, Vivian, as like a montage. So it doesn't have to be like fully animated. You could do it like it was pictures from a storybook. So you don't have to have all.
I don't know what a montage is.
a montage is like just this camera here and this camera here. It's like short little shots. They don't have to all flow together. A montage is like there's breaks in time. Like you would show,
Okay.
you show just after, you know, each one of these is a story panel, right? So you've got,
Yeah.
you've got the first, so like the first 10 story panels could be, or the first 10 sentences, those each one of those could be its own story panel. And then literally you would put like a cross dissolve between each one. You fade to black and fade it up from black between each panel, like a cross dissolve.
Okay.
And then when you get to the part where he decides to go back, then you can start to draw the actions. And then you could start, so you can try that. So this is good. And this is good for when the son returns home. The drawing.
That's actually like when he's about to leave. I haven't put the father and the son, but they're gonna be in B, and then C is you know, like when he's leaving.
Okay. All right, so this looks good. Consider that the idea of doing vignettes or a montage is something to think about. So let's just look at what Google says a montage is. So, oh, I don't want montage hotel. I want montage French. The production of a rapid succession of images in a motion picture to illustrate the association of ideas, a literary, musical, or artistic composition from two entry senses, a juxtaposition of heterogeneous elements. So different elements, different times. So you're showing the dad giving the son his inheritance. You're showing the other son going away. You show just a picture of him gambling and having lots of girlfriends or whatever and living the lush lifestyle. But you only show one picture, right?
I got it.
Yeah, you don't have to show action or whatever. You're telling it through basically a montage or a vignette. So why go away? What is this one? No, block, no. So the other thing is vignette. A vignette. So a vignette is a brief evocation, description, account of an episode, a small illustration or portrait photograph which fades into the background without a definite border. So both of those things work, and both of those things are kind of what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay, got the idea. All right, now I don't know. Here I am. Okay, I'm back in the right place. All right, Laura. But did we see the first part of this last week, Laura?
No, okay, I'm sorry. I am checking another thing, so let me go back to the video.
Okay. Because I think you posted this.
So yes, I make a confusion. So the last week, you didn't check my story.
Yep.
So after the class, I make some correction, and by mistake I submit on the final assignment.
Okay. So that's fine. Do you want me to, let's look at this right now then?
But I think so I improved that. I think so. I don't know.
Could you, well, I assigned points to your projects from last week this afternoon. Could you look really quickly and make sure that this was graded?
Yeah, let me check. Yeah. So you got me 430.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this looks good. Be careful of your scanner. How are you digitizing these? Are you scanning them or are you using your phone?
Yes, I am scanning.
So it looks like your paper was a little too curled towards the edge right here.
Let me
It's
check.
out of focus.
I can put my screen. I'm sorry,
I'm
Professor.
following your story. I mean, it looks good.
I got it. Yes, some poses I fix it, and I try to include line on action according to my definition of line of action, and I think it's better than the last week.
Well, I think it is for sure. You know, your characters aren't running around or, well, this one is. The guy playing soccer could have a better line of action. And these characters here that are running could certainly have more fluid, more faster movement.
Okay.
And I think that you're not getting that just because your final boards here are probably just a little small.
Okay.
All right, so I think everything looks good here.
Thank you.
Okay, and then your plan was for them to do all these things, have a better world. Okay, great.
Mhm.
Super siblings, and they win their reward. Okay, so this looks okay.
Okay.
You followed everything to the best of you could. All right.
Yeah.
Let me do one thing. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. We'll do this for Alex. I think Alex is not with us tonight, but he might see the recording. This is how far I got. Coyote and the Bone. Okay, so for everyone's benefit here, I think that this is a really good way to handle a script, because, you know, we talked about this when we were introducing the idea of, you know, the 5 main elements of the storyboard are art, and that includes drawing and everything, composition. It includes animation. And when you're talking about animation, it includes all the principles of animation. It includes cinema. You have to think about camera. You have to think about characters and characterization. And you have to think about story. And when you're writing story, animators always animate the verbs. And so Alex, I think, has routinely done this for each project every week, where he's underlined his verbs. And I think that's fine. This is great. You're going to get a real good handle on how much you have to do if you draw your script like this. So I like that. All right, so then he's got some rough thumbnail ideas here. And I think that going forward, I think that when I'm running any story class ever again, I think what I'm going to do is have you all not put any borders around the thumbnails until you're ready to actually do boards. And so I'm not going to give him a hard time about just using these little squares, because that's fine. And he's just going visual here. Okay. Okay. So there's his map. So I think you're in a good place, Alex. I think that you've got, you know, 33 panels or so, plus or minus, and that's good. Now take it into your first pass at boards. Go for it. It looks okay. It looks okay. Yeah, take it into your first pass at boards. Thank you, Mr. Alex. And Chloe, are you still driving? Just drive carefully, please. All right, for Chloe, establishing shot. Museum of Natural History, dinosaur fossil. Loves dinosaurs, walking towards exhibit. Stop, stare at 3 dinosaurs, 2, 1 small, like kids and a parent. He reads the plaque. I think plaque is spelled incorrectly. I think that kind of plaque is the plaque you have on your teeth. All right. They leave the museum. They're walking back to the car already. And there's a hole in the ground. Okay, so this is interesting. I like the fact that he's tying his shoe and then you don't know the dinosaur is going to pop out of the ground. So this is great. And then he helps the crisis is that Max has to help the baby dinosaur back to his parents in the museum, but make sure that you get the parents in there, because the parents are going to go, oh my God, where's Max? Where did he go? And they're all going to be panicked and they're going to go running back in. And so the ending would be is that the parents find Max, but the dinosaur parents find the baby dinosaur. So make sure that those 2 things come together at the end. Looks good, Chloe. All right, Magnus.
Hello.
Hello. Mar and Kerr. What are Mar and Kerr markers?
Yeah, that's kind of the joke. Yeah, I wanted to try something pretty funny for this one.
All right, this is weird. I like it. Okay. So they're bowling, but if so, do you mean that he's out of the game?
Oh, no, he's not out of the game, but he gets a gutter, like he doesn't hit any pins.
Right, okay.
Or like in this case, thumbtacks.
Okay. Okay, so this looks great. Looks weird, but great. Okay.
Yeah.
And there you go with your line of action. You're not going to be able to get any kind of action if you don't draw a line of action for your character. So you picked a good one. And I showed you that SpongeBob SquarePants thing, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, you can't draw SpongeBob as a cube. You can't draw him without a line of action. So this is great. Yeah, go for it. One thing that you can play around with is tall and skinny, fat and short. Just because they're markers doesn't mean that they have to be all standard marker shape. You know, they can be different shapes, short and stubby, long and skinny. One of them could have 4 legs. You know, why not? You know, or one of them can have, like, you know how some markers have like a fat nib at one end and a thin at the other. So you could try that. And here, I don't know if you can see it. I have like one of my markers for my highlighter has a Post-its on the end of it. I know you can see that carefully. It's a highlighter, but it's got little Post-its in the end of it. So so have fun with the designs. They don't all have to be like this, especially if you're going to be doing characters in the background. So if they're at the bowling alley, then you need the cowboy in the cowboy hat, right?
Yeah.
And how do you draw a cowboy marker that has spurs? And you could have total fun with the stuff in the background. What does a baby marker look like? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
just think about all the different kind of shapes of things you can write with and go for it. Yeah, do your thumbnails, go for it.
Awesome.
And I do appreciate that you're doing your characters with a little perspective right there. You know, even though it's the same grid copy and paste, that I appreciate it. Okay, yeah, go for it, Magnus. It looks weird and wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, Kyle. I don't know if Kyle's here. All right, maybe he'll see the video. Okay. All right. My first take on this is be careful. This is a pretty dense script. This could be 2 minutes, which could end up being 65 or 70 story panels. So you might want to just do half of it. Let me see what it reads like. Camera pans, restaurant, passed out, zombie. All right, so it looks like his drink catches fire, which can happen. Tracking shot of the flames as they reach the lamps. Okay. Okay, the fire trucks got there fast. Okay. Okay, so Kyle, this looks okay. You might be able to get away with just 40 panels or so. Looks okay. And you got some mood boards here. What the tiki bar might look like. Okay, that's always a good thing. I'd like to see what your characters look like next. So next week, let's have character designs and thumbnails. Thank you, Mr. Kyle. And Riley.
Before I go, I didn't know that we're making another new script, so this is the last week clip, so I might have messed up.
This is the last week's. Yeah, this is your final, that you're doing scripts and ideas for your final. Yeah, you presented this one last week.
I made some additional changes, so
Well, it looks like you did a better explosion.
yeah. I didn't know that we're making like another like script, another characters and stuff like that. So I need to work
Well,
on
as long
that.
as you did work on this, I'll take a look at the grade I gave it, and maybe you can earn some extra points on that one.
Okay,
So
great.
it's not for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So those explosions look pretty good. I like those. And you got, these are all new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so your ending is working and you've got this working better too. I will definitely make sure that I look at this and make sure you get graded fairly.
Okay.
It looks good. I think that even a shot like panel 53, 54, background, midground, foreground, whenever you need it, right? You don't need a background, midground, foreground for shot 51 if it's exploding, because you just got the midground and the background. That's all you need. And like a shot like 50, this is really just a color card. It's the grass behind them. So you don't need a background, foreground, and midground in this shot. And so I think you got a pretty good handle on it. And your line work is looking okay. It's a little wobbly in places, but it's looking okay. Now I'll definitely make sure that I look at this again.
Okay, great.
Now get working on that final, man.
I'm on it.
All right. Okay. Paula. This is last week's too. Am I in the wrong place? All right, we're going to go back from the bottom upwards, see if I'm in the right place now. Final characters, okay. We're looking at Tristan's.
Yes.
It's a sentient blob gazing at the starry void of space. Okay, good luck animating that one. In order to do that, your asteroid is going to need eyes. Right?
No, the asteroid is not the blob.
Opening shot of an asteroid in space with the camera zooming in. On top of the small, the sentient blob is going to need eyes. Okay. All right, she's trying to pry herself off the asteroid. Okay. Okay. Crashed into by a large spaceship. There's a lot of traffic out there in space. All right, so I think that what you need here, Tristan, is just an ending. You have it saying that he zooms through space, flying towards the abyss, but it might make sense to have the entry so that this spaceship actually lands somewhere, and the blob is terrified. She's out of her element. She doesn't have any idea where she is. And then her eyes are closed. She's like, oh my God, what has happened to me? I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And then she opens her eyes to realize that maybe in this new world, there's a bunch of other blobs that look kind of sort of like her, and it might be a fun place for her to live. You want to try something?
Actually was contemplating the spaceship landing on Earth originally.
So yeah, and then you could use the Republicans as blobs. No, so work on this design here. This is a tough one. You're trying to draw an inanimate object. In Pokemon Go, there's that Ditto character, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want it to make it look like a pile of poo. So, you start with this kind of basic shape here. And then give it as big eyes as possible. And your creative process is like, okay, so does it look like an whipped cream on an ice cream cone? What are some things that you can give it that make it look like a blob? So maybe it's got just a couple of antennae, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this thing here, these little outside curves here that could easily be ears. So you draw like that little shape right there to make it look like it's an ear. And then you can work in a face. You can work in a little smile if you need it. You can work in some details. You can work in eyebrows. That'll help with your acting and performance. As long as it's a blob, she might have little octopus kind of tentacles to stick onto stuff. So you can work on something like that, 5 of them for the ones that are her size. Right, and then give it some sort of texture, maybe a tiny little nose. So, and start there, and then just kind of see what this process looks like. If she's getting pulled off of the asteroid, she gets stretched, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what does that stretching look like? And she's got the little suckers down here that are stuck to it. She's like, no, right? And the little tentacles are way up here as well. So all of a sudden her mouth is like this, right? Right, so that's just the way you go from this being your first step to studying what these poses look like, and then try to relate that to some of the other blob characters that might be on the planet that she lands. And you could have total fun with the the idea of what these characters look like, right? You know, and then when you're doing this, think about like Elvis, right? Think about the type of characters that are here on Earth. That what do they look like if you dissolve them down into blobs? So that'll be a fun part of this. But definitely work on the idea of this blob thingy having a big face, because then you can play around with some really great expressions. You've got a lot of emotion. You have a lot of emotion happening here in your script as she's watching stuff go by. And so you're going to need a big face anyway.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's see here. Now we see if we're in the right place. Paula. This is last week's Paula. This is last week's. All right, remember, this is your new final. All right, so I would like to do one more thing here. I'm going to switch. What I want to do is I don't want to record this, but I want you all to take a look at what I'm doing here. So on the video, then we're going to be looking at Esma, and this film is called I Am a Pebble. And we're gonna watch this one here. It's a 6-minute film, 7-minute film. It's really, really wonderful. I just watched this afternoon. So for those of you who are not in the class, just do a search for Esma and I Am a Pebble and do animation. It'll come right up. And then the next thing that I want to look at is this is done by Amelia Lorenz. She was a student at Cal Arts. There it is right there. It said she's a graduate from Cal Arts. And this was her junior year film. It's called A Change in the Weather. And you're only going to be able to find this on Vimeo. So just type in Change in the Weather and just put in 2D animation. This is a pencil test and it's brilliant. It's just really, really wonderful. So we're going to watch those two. We'll watch Change in the Weather first, and then we'll watch I Am a Pebble second. And then we're going to look at Le Source de Montagne, or The Source of the Mountains from Esma again. Again, Esma is a school in Paris, and I believe it means highest school of the arts, the highest school that you can go to for the arts. And so you should always know Esma. The other one is Goblin. That two really wonderful master's schools in Paris. All right, so I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to pause the. And the thing that I wanted to point you to is just this logo. So when you are on YouTube, just subscribe to Esma. So just go in there, you know, I've already played this one, so it might have been giving me suggestions for other ones, because there's just tons and tons of films out there. So, you know, I have like 50 subscriptions here. So that's Esma, right? You see that little logo right there. And then the other one is Goblin. And that one looks like this. Again, this is another animations and art school in Paris. Top of the heap, top of the game. But you could be inspired by these stories because they're all really short. They're 2, 3, 4 minutes long. There's just a ton of them. They've been doing this for almost 20 years now. But these are always keepers. They're really, really wonderful films. You can't go wrong. The earlier ones are even better than the ones that are more current. Then the other thing that you might want to look at is CG Meetup. And CG Meetup just has a whole bunch of stuff that's both animation and game oriented. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Remember, the animation and game are kind of intertwined these days. And it's kind of harder to find really short, wonderful stories on CG Meetup. They are there. It's just a little tricky to find them. So I wanted to share that with you. As long as I have Spa Studios here, let's see what's up with Spa. I saw something on social media this week that I was hoping that Sergio Pablo Animation, that's what SPA stands for, Sergio Pablo Animation. He was the director for Klaus. Klaus took almost 12 years to make. And it premiered in theaters in 2018, I believe it was, 2019, 2018. Absolutely wonderful. And it's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, there's no reason why you shouldn't be extremely familiar with watching Klaus. I don't know what the studio is doing next. I don't know what the studio is doing next. Let's take a look at Cartoon Saloon. Cartoon Saloon is in Ireland. They're in Kilkenny, Ireland. And again, we're just on YouTube here, so I'm going to subscribe to Cartoon Saloon. I can't believe I haven't been subscribed. So they did The Secret of Kells, Wolf Walkers, the Song of the Sea. That's their first main trilogy. And I don't see that they're doing anything new, but Wolf Walkers is their most recent film. They're a great studio too, just absolutely wonderful. So you should be familiarizing yourself with those studios. It's not always just Disney. It's not always Disney Saturday morning, right? All right, so I'm going to give you to your holiday. Well done indeed. So I will see you all at 6:30 next week. Hopefully you won't be stuffed to the gills with turkey and cranberry sauce, right? Or you can be if you want, it's okay. But that is all I have for you tonight. I have notes to check on Laura, Phil, and Riley's grades just to make sure that they're correct. And make sure that if I missed something, just email me, let me know. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
All right.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
You too.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
For everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Billy,
Yeah,
I have a question. Oh my God, I mean, so the final one that was
Yes.
due today, I thought that was the other one, the last storyboard. So I put the last one instead of like the new one, but I put a new script in there
okay.
to let you know. So
Okay, let me take a look at it. Refresh. Where'd you put it?
it's
You are lying to me.
no.
Right now, I'm on the final scripts and characters and thumbs. That was due for today.
Yeah, it's there. Oh, I
Okay.
think I just submitted it. Oopsies. Okay.
Oh, now it just showed up. There it is. It's called. All right. This one, look, does it look correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so this looks good. Your script looks good. And it's the right length. So yes, go for it.
Okay.
Character designs, maps, thumbnails,
Okay.
as far as you can get next week. Looks good. If I could make just one suggestion, it would be you have a lot of build up to the anxiety
Mhm.
of the young girl trying to make her shots and not doing well. And the coach takes her out of the game and then talks to her, and then they win the game. So I don't think that it should happen that fast. I think that what you should really do is have her miss a couple of shots and go to a mid shot of the scoreboard. You know, the score is close, right? 36 to 36, 36 to 40, something like that. And then the halftime, and then have her confidence that when she comes back after the second half, she misses her first shot. It's like, oh no, right? And then quickly she gets the basketball again, and then she makes one. And you don't have to go back to the scoreboard every single time, but she makes one. And then she makes another. And then at that point, you can see that the scoreboard is now 40 to 40. Right? And then you can have all this action happening, and the other team shoots and they miss. And she gets the rebound, and she has to do this amazing thing where she dribbles down the court and she passes it to her player, and she gets bogged down in other players, and she passes it back to your hero, and she throws it up to the basket, and in slow motion, it hits the rim and bounces back to her. She catches her own rebound and then takes a second shot and wins the game.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah.
Does that sound like a more compelling story?
Yes.
So try that.
Okay.
Try that. Try that.
Mhm.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Billy, I have another one that can you provide me feedback really quick?
Where is it?
I am just about to upload it now.
Where are you putting it?
I'm gonna put it in the late missing we do folder.
Let me know when it's there.
Okay. I'm just gonna put in the map and the script because I'm not done with my thumbnails.
Let me know when it's there.
Okay, done.
All right. You can
Yes.
see my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Battlefield. Sonic, they get ready for a fight. Weapon, lowering the weapon, hit the weapon, going to hit, sad, fall down, collapses. Her weapon is ready position, retracts, calms herself down. So, most of the way through your script, you say that the Blythe is feeling woozy. The bullet is now off the thumbnail. I don't know what that means. Blythe is about to fall down. They are now both dead. So right when you write the words, they are now both dead, you have two characters. Does that mean both of your characters are dead?
No, just, well, basically dead. They fell on the floor.
So what do you mean by the line in the script that says they are now both dead?
Well, they are basically dead because they are on the floor. Their eyes isn't crossed out or something.
So I think you need to say what you mean there, because the very next line is that you have the antagonist is now flipping the banana gun, the beginning,
Okay.
so that character's alive.
Yeah,
So just
not,
make sure that
not,
that part of the script reads better.
okay,
And I think that what you need really is putting your other characters in the background. So what your map should really look like should be something like this, where if you have a 180 line right here, that you have these two characters, you have Sonic and Blythe.
okay,
And what are they going to do? So here's Sonic and here's Blythe. You know, and they're going to confront each other. So they're going to have their battle right here. And you don't have to have them switch places or anything, but you can put a camera here.
yeah,
You can put a camera here. You can put an establishing camera here. You can put a camera here. So what does this camera over here see? This camera sees Sonic over here.
yeah,
There's a banana gun. So this is their S character. And your Blythe character now is smaller. They have their weapon. So this is B.
okay,
Because this camera could be more like your establishing shot, then you can widen this out. You can say that here's your horizon. There's your grid. And Sonic is on the left. Line of action. Standing with their gun. Sonic. Blythe is on the right. You know, they're equally distant from each other. There's their weapon. And in the background, you have, if you have all these other characters that are fighting, you can have those battles happening in the background. You know, clack, 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 clack. You can have all this stuff happening. Where are they? You know, you didn't say that. Are they on a distant planet? Is there something in this part of the screen that's interesting to look at? Is there something over here that's interesting to look at? What is going on in the background, midground, and these characters are in the foreground. So this camera is a close-up. So then this camera here can just be a mid shot like that. And if you wanted to widen this open even wider, you can say that your establishing shot could be really wide. And here you can show that maybe this thing is a building or something, and they're in an arena or something like that. You could really dress up your shot. This camera here, this camera sees B on the right, and then S on the left. And S is smaller, and they're still fighting. When you get to the shot where they're both dead or whatever,
yeah,
and now they're both dead. So that shot is going to be horizon, right? And then look at what your camera sees right here. So your S character is going to be dead. So draw them on the ground. That's your S character. And then this character is your B character. They're dead.
okay,
What is in the background? If it's a mid shot, you're still going to need the cityscape in the background.
yeah,
Are they outside, or is there an arena? Are there trees? What is in that shot? Get your perspective grid lined up, and start getting thumbnails correctly. So I want to see drawings like this rather than just copying and pasting shapes.
okay,
Okay?
yeah,
All right, we'll see you next week.
and okay, that for the map, I got,
Well, it's there. I think that the map I drew here is equally as good. You just
okay,
have two characters and they're fighting. Just have this stuff happen in the background.
can I take a picture of that? Oh,
I'll put the
mind.
recording on YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay, bye.